we're gonna start, and now I'm getting nervous. I got like a butterflies in my stomach now.
Okay.
What, because we're going to record? Or
Because
Yeah.
I couldn't finish my pentagram? Jeez.
My mom had our house purified, and I still had freaking ghost experiences there. I don't want you bringing them in here, because we're not having this apartment purified. I have no idea how that even freaking works.
You literally pay a guy $20 and he goes into your house with some water and go, holy water, Jesus Christ.
You buy some sage at a head shop, and then just walk around with it. I guess smudge the place out.
Do some chanting, you know.
Say the Serenity Prayer a couple times while you're doing it.
I know, what was it? I was watching an anime, and the one guy would perform exorcisms by saying, the Lord's Prayer, is it? Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the Lord's Prayer?
I don't know the Lord's Prayer.
Which one is the one? Do you remember those necklaces that had the cross and the little gem in the middle of it? If you held it up to the light, you could see a prayer in it. Do you guys remember those? Like, they were like huge. There was adverts all over television of them.
Really? No.
I think it might have been the Lord's Prayer.
I've seen people with the Lord's Prayer on a necklace though. Yeah.
Like
in
I have a
There's a
Lord's
guy-
Prayer in Spanish. At first I thought it was Latin, but then I said Padre and just like, damn it.
Padre.
yeah, that's El Padre. I wonder how you say heaven in Spanish.
Okay.
Okay.
Heaven and haven are the same word, just said different.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Spelled the same.
No.
No, haven only has an A.
No.
Really?
Oh, no.
No,
I don't believe you're
heaven is Heven.
You're probably right.
No, wait. Hevan.
Or maybe there's a name that's heaven backwards. Now I'm lost. Neve or something.
You had me going there for a second.
Niva.
Neva.
That'd be heaven backwards. Niva.
Heaven, haven.
I think there needed to be a
Shit,
verses in
she's
there
right.
somewhere.
I knew it!
What?
Wait,
Wait,
Google
there's
it.
an A in
Google it.
heaven?
Heaven,
Yeah, there is an A in heaven.
What?
haven. Yeah?
Is haven just a name then, or is haven like
oh, wait,
heaven?
hold on. In haven, there's an extra E, it looks like.
Heaven versus haven.
Why not swallow your
You're
phone
right.
while you're at it?
Probably good.
You were like swallowing it, talking into the microphone.
There's an extra E in heaven.
Yeah.
So we didn't introduce ourselves or anything.
See, God do what he's
Oh, it's
doing.
going?
Yeah, it's recording. It's been recording for a little bit now.
Oh, heck.
I don't even know how long. It says 3 minutes. We're 3 minutes in, guys.
Alright, this is quality entertainment, you know.
Oh, dang.
I
Well,
think that's how,
we can
that's you
put that part later and then...
Yeah,
you
I'll
go.
flip-flop it around. Hey guys, it's Finn.
And Allie.
I'm just here because they wanted me here, so, you know.
But what's your name?
I don't have a name.
I
I am Aton, the Lord above, the
Why not-
all at sea.
Why not just like change your name to Raoul
Oh, yeah.
and learn how to fly a helicopter?
Oh, yeah. Okay, it's Raoul. I fly a helicopter.
You need like one of those instruments that Miguel plays in Road to El Dorado.
Oh, the
It's not a lute and it's not a ukulele. What the heck is it?
Mandolin.
It's not a mandolin.
I've never seen this.
You've never seen Road to El Dorado?
No.
No, I've heard of it though.
Oh, it's on Netflix,
I didn't
girl.
even
Just
have
watch
I
it.
didn't even have a childhood, and I knew that movie.
You definitely had a child.
I didn't have a
No,
What was
no,
your
he didn't.
favorite childhood movie or show? Do you remember Rocket Power? Do either of you guys remember Rocket
I
Power?
No.
hated that show. I hated Rugrats
no,
too.
No,
Oh, I love both those shows.
Oh,
Those are my favorite.
no, mine was Crypto the Super Dog.
Yes!
And a pup named Scooby Doo. Oh, man.
Yes,
I
gotta
love
remember the
Scooby-Doo, and I remember Crypto. He was like a silver dog.
That's like the greatest children's theme song ever, and if anybody disagrees with that,
I liked
A pup
Baby
named
Looney Tunes.
Scooby-Doo.
Doobie-doo, doobie-doo.
Speaking of Scooby-Doo, we gotta talk about ghosts.
That was an awesome segue,
Yeah,
by the way.
look at that. Look at that. Just so everyone knows, I purposely planned.
You did not.
As far as anybody knows, yeah.
But yeah, that was the topic that we were going to start off at hand, but since we're completely ADD, we got on other topics.
There we go.
So I'm a believer in the paranormal. Are you?
For me, I do believe in I do believe in the paranormal and supernatural. I cannot just think that these things could have just been made up out of the blue. I feel like they had to have been seen or experienced some way, sometime, somehow.
Like, people have been talking about it for thousands of years, so, like... And then Bradley? Or Raul, I'm sorry. Yeah, I gotta edit his name out.
Yeah. Well,
I am not going to go through 2
I'm
hours
joking.
of editing over Bradley again.
Yeah.
He's going to stay Bradley for this podcast.
Aw, I like Raul, though.
I don't care.
Okay. Fine. Gonna change that in the world, you know?
Yeah, do you believe in the paranormal?
Well, okay, if you look at it a biblical speaking, technically one of God's form is the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. So the Spirit is, you know, so biblically speaking, technically there is a form of supernatural, just not to the level of, like, there's ghosts and spirits and everything.
Okay, so hang on a second. So you're saying that biblically speaking, holy crap, that word just doesn't want to come out,
Yes.
that the Holy Spirit is God. So when people see spirits, it's actually like, what, an entity of God? Is that what you're saying?
Technically speaking, yes.
But, like, aren't there demons in the Bible?
Yes.
So, what are they?
They are fallen angels.
But, like, if you see demons...
Demons are spawns from hell, not
Yeah.
heaven.
Yeah.
I thought Lucifer was a fallen angel, and then those are, like...
Lucifer was a banished angel.
Fallen, yeah. He tried to overthrow God, and God's like,
I mean, according to Supernatural...
That's where I learned it.
Lucifer couldn't love anyone other than God. But God wanted him to love humans, so God banished him because he couldn't do that. I feel for poor Lucifer.
Technically, the thing that got him kicked out of heaven was the fact of he loved God so much that he let his own idea of what God is like. It's like, oh, well, God loves me so much, so I could be God. I don't need this God. I am God, and he kind of. You know,
I don't believe that. I think I like
basically-
Supernatural story better, so that way Lucifer doesn't get made out to be the complete bad guy.
Yeah.
I like Supernatural
Someone
story
has to
better.
be the bad guy.
That's true.
Yeah, but Lucifer isn't 100% the bad guy in Supernatural. There's, like, angels.
Well,
they were
Angels
pretty
are bad
bad,
guys.
Well, I mean,
Megatron.
I mean, if he's the real. Well, technically, I mean, if you think about it, though, he's not evil. It's just his perception of what is good. It's just more or less of it's just like, hey, you can enjoy yourself and everything, and you can put yourself before, you know, what's needed or important and everything.
Isn't that the case with everybody? That
Yeah.
nobody's typically good or evil.
No.
It's just that their perception of good can be warped.
Good,
Like
or
serial
wrong.
killers and stuff.
Good,
probably?
Yeah.
good and evil is basically broken down to a societal norm of what is acceptable and deemed not acceptable. Because if you took Islamic culture and everything, you steal, you get your hand chopped off. You know, you go to America, you get thrown in jail.
You
know.
cheat, you get drugged through the streets by goats.
Yeah, but it's like, well, you know, it's like stealing. Oh, that's wrong. We shouldn't kill people and everything. But it's like, well, it's just how you view good and evil and everything, you know. Also, supernaturally speaking, is Bigfoot technically supernatural? Or is he myth?
Bigfoot is a fable.
Yeah, I don't believe in Bigfoot.
But- I do.
You do?
I do. Like I said, these stories kind of just started out of the blue. Somebody had to have experienced it. Do I believe that Bigfoot is walking the earth now? Probably not. Did he at once? Because think about it. Like, prehistoric, like, sloths and, like, in the Ice Age, they were like the saber-toothed tigers and the woolly mammoths. Those things were up to 2 times, maybe even more, bigger than the tigers and elephants we have now.
Yeah.
So think about it. If there was, like, an Ice Age version of an ape,
It'd be bigger.
Or like
It
if
would
you
be
believed
bigger.
in evolution, it could be like how we're Homo sapiens. They think there was like other ones. They're just like hairier people, and
Yeah.
we like went all the way up.
I
Like
was
it could be
watching-
like a different race of human, like half ape, half all human.
You bringing up like a giant human though. I was watching this video by Riddle, and he looks into scientific theories of certain things, and one of them was the existence of like giant humans, and like
There really were giant humans. I live in Seville, and they under one of like they were making the new library, and they're excavating, and they found human skulls that were big enough to fit 7 or 8 foot people
Yeah.
under the ground.
yeah, like he said that apparently like let's talk from the Bible for a second, because Adam and Eve, apparently Adam was like either nearly or over 8 feet tall.
Yeah.
And Eve was like 7.5 foot.
Yeah, she got some
So
thighs.
I don't know what that is in meters or whatever people get measured in anything other than that measurement. So
Yeah.
I can't say.
We're lazy. Do the conversion yourself.
We're Americans here.
We're all American.
We're Americans. Our education system didn't teach us much.
Is it the metric system that measures in centimeters and stuff like that, or is ours the metric system in feet?
Again,
I don't know.
American school system.
American school system in a nutshell, right there.
Yeah.
I'm supposedly be. Never mind. I don't even know what I'm supposedly be able to do.
America, we'll tell you we're right. We can't prove it, but we're right.
But also think about it, like back at the topic of back in time when things were once bigger, like dragons. Who's to say they didn't exist at one point? Were they flying? Probably not. They were probably just really big snakes or really big lizards that were
Like
in the
T-Rexes
prehistoric.
and stuff like that.
If actually, it's like qualify. There is I forget what it's called, but there's a form of the Bible. They're like the books that were taken out of it, and there actually were dragons in that.
In the Bible.
Yeah, it's all the stuff. They're like, okay, this is not exactly. It was like around the 9th or 10th century. It was towards the Crusades, where they're just like, okay, we gotta like rectify this and make that a little more understandable. He's like, cool for the kids. So it's like, let's take this all out. But Jeffrey actually had a book. It was like this thick. It was really fascinating.
This is gonna be super random, but there's that Netflix original movie Bright that I watched it the other night. It was okay, but
it's such a good concept too.
You bringing up the Bible having dragons and things like that, like there was a whole segment in Bright that was about the Bible, and there was also a scene that I thought was kind of interesting because it's like a half human, half fantasy world. So you know how like you have a shot of a city and you see like a flock of birds flying over it? Well, no, in this they had the shot of the city. No, they had the city, and over it was flying a dragon. Yeah. I thought it was a cool adaptation.
That's cool.
I mean, I just had to appreciate that for a second, but you made me think of it.
Even though technology would long outweigh magic.
That scares me now that you said that there used to be dragons in the Bible. Like, what else did they take out and add in?
Well, you have to remember that the Bible was written and rewritten and translated and retranslated so many times. How much had to have been cut out and missed?
You also have to realize that the Quran technically spawned off Judeo original texts. Mm-hmm. So technically that's part of the Bible. And then technically, because literally the Old Testament is literally the old Judeo religious texts and scrolls. Mm-hmm. And then you had like 20 other things shoot off of it and everything, which, you know, Christianity, bit of Hinduism, Taoism, Islam, and a couple other things literally shot off this one thing and everything. So technically, they're all part of one thing, it's part of another thing, part of another thing, part of another thing.
Apparently, even like the Roman gods are based off of the Bible, because Zeus translated from, what is it? No, it's not Roman. Greek, thank you.
Well,
Zeus translated from Greek means God.
It's true.
So technically that is too, but that's the weird thing.
Like every culture though, like the Native Americans, like the Greeks and everything, they never talked to each other, but they all believed in a separate God. So like, how'd they all get this idea? Like there has to be something that's going on where it's like.
Well, I think the thing is that it's like, especially when humanity was just starting out, they needed a reason to believe why they were there. Yeah. So like Christians, like I'm speaking as somebody who doesn't believe in any way, shape, or form any religion at all. So we have to keep that in mind, that I've never read the Bible, I've never studied Roman or Greek gods, I've never looked into anything like that. It's just never been one of my priorities.
Enough, we all met at church though.
He works in mysterious ways.
But I think when humanity was starting, these people needed to think of a reason why they're there, because otherwise there was just fear of death and everything. But when they thought of something along the lines of Christianity, it's like, we are here to serve God and be His disciples and blah 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 blah. Mm-hmm. And when we die, so long as we follow God's will, we go to heaven, and if we don't, we're going to go to hell. Yeah. It was something for them to believe in, to give them the comfort to go on with life. Otherwise, I feel like humanity would have literally just come to an end.
Well,
for real,
if you look at kind of an evolutionary standpoint, once society reaches a certain point, the main thing when you had like tribalism and everything, the only thing you had to focus on was food and survival. Everyone hunted, everyone did, made clothing, everyone did this and everything. But once society got to a point where it could establish civilization, and you had agriculture, and you had,
and you weren't worried about just surviving.
Yeah, and you weren't worried about surviving. Those are the questions, that's what the Greeks started asking everything. They started building these city-states and had connections and roadways and people, you had the great philosophers and everything. They started to ask the questions of, what is our purpose? Who is our creator? Are we here just because out of the whim and a chance? Or are we here because there is a reason why? Which I think eventually, I think that's a problem that we're facing now in our own culture, is we've reached a level of comfortability and security where we don't have the fundamentals to ask the questions, and all we have the questions now is to ask of self-identity. But that's another side topic altogether. But
you're rambling.
I know.
What if there's a
You're
ghost
getting
and
way
that's
too
why I'm
deep
getting
into this.
chills?
What's that?
What if there's a ghost and that's why I'm getting chills?
Probably.
Well, we were talking about the supernatural, but then Bradley had to go on about his philosophical stuff.
It ties back into it. Sorry, let me finish my thought. The whole idea, my thoughts on the supernatural and religion in general, is that we're trying to ask the question of why and what's here, what's out there. One of H.P. Lovecraft's whole idea is of unknown and unwarranted truth. Knowledge beyond our comprehension. If there are ghosts and there are beings, what knowledge do they have? How did they come to that state? And what are they trying to give us by communication?
Going off of that for a second, I don't know exactly how I want to ask this. Because, everyone thinks something of how ghosts come to the world. Like, Bradley says they're fallen angels.
Mm-hmm.
And then, for me, though, I believe that, there's energy all around us, and energy cannot be created or destroyed.
Yeah.
So human energy, like our soul energy, once we die, it can't just be destroyed.
That's my exact thoughts on it, dude.
Right, so that's what I was going to ask. I was wondering if you believed it was that, or if it was just, a fallen angel thing.
I believe that energy can't be destroyed or created, so, either it goes back into another person, but, I don't know, I'm a very, I can hold on to things and be, an angry person, and I can see, if I died in a way where I didn't feel like I was done, that resentment and everything, I feel like it would keep me here and, give me enough energy to, I don't know, mess with people and stuff like that.
Right, and,
Guess who's gonna slash your tire?
That's also, I'm not sure if I believe... Well, I'm not sure how I would believe it would work, because I also believe that resurrection can be a thing.
Resurrection, they come back from the dead?
Yeah.
Or, I'm sorry, not resurrection. What's the word?
Reincarnation.
Reincarnation, thank you.
I believe in that, too, yeah.
Because I remember watching this movie. If you guys might know it, it's called Fluke.
Yep.
You've heard of it?
Yep.
Such a beautiful movie. I'm just going to say this right now. If you guys haven't seen Fluke, I watched it when I was a kid. It was on VHS. It was on VHS. My God, it was that old. But it was a beautiful film. This man got into a fight with a coworker because the coworker got the promotion or something that he wanted. Mm-hmm. And they were driving, and he was driving and raging home and found his coworker's car. So he's driving up beside him on the opposite side of the road and telling him pull over. Well, a semi came on him and killed him. Well, his work wasn't done. Mm-hmm. He still had a boy he wanted to raise. So he came back as a dog. Oh. And the boy found the dog. Mm-hmm. So it was I feel like
that'd be awesome.
If you have unfinished business, I don't think you'd come back as just a spirit. I feel like you would be reincarnated, maybe not as a dog, but maybe even as another person, possibly, to make the difference that you wanted to.
That'd be awesome if you got to choose.
The one, yes, I would come back as a sugar glider.
Sugar glider.
Yes!
I'd come back as a pet for sure.
Yeah. Well, the one thing I would say, the one flaw in that theory though is, how do you determine what purpose is though?
Purpose is relative.
That's what I mean though. But how do you have an infinite energy, a non-sentient, if we're saying if it's a non-sentient physical energy, how does that energy then translate into reincarnation to have purpose?
Well, that's the funny thing now that you bring that up, because your energy isn't exactly linked to your mind. So once you die, your brain shuts down, but your energy goes on.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why there's spirits,
like your soul.
Because they don't have a mind. They're just the energy lingering behind.
Especially if you get like die in a tragic way, or like your life's cut short really fast. I don't know, I feel like I'd be really resentful about that, and I'd want to stick around as long as I could to see like what plays out.
So maybe since you brought that up, maybe reincarnation isn't exactly the possibility of what happens after death.
It's just energy being transferred from one vessel to another.
Would you remember your previous life? No. But I think maybe if the energy does find a new vessel that's being born on the same time that you died,
yeah,
then it would go into that vessel, you know?
There's that little boy, there was like a YouTube video documentary that I watched about, but there's a little boy from Ireland, and he kept, like, he was like 5, and he kept telling his mom about how he died in a plane crash in the ocean. And he like kept giving her names and details and dates and everything, and she looked it up, and it was all real. And like the guy and everything, and his sister he died in World War II. He was like, he flew a plane like around Japan or whatever, and he got shot down, and he died in the ocean. And like the boy described his death, and he kept waking up with nightmares of him drowning in a cockpit in a plane and stuff like that. And the mom researched it, and like he got like notice for it, and he was like on the news and stuff, and they found the guy's sister, who was like in her 80s at this point from then, and he like they went and she met with him, and like the first, I can't remember her name, but like the first time the little boy saw her, he like called her by the nickname that only her brother called him and stuff by that. The kid's like 17 now, and he remembers none of it.
Oh wow. Yeah, see.
Yeah.
That's crazy. But also like going off of something like that, you know how when you have deja vu?
Mm-hmm.
Like, there was one time, like, where I'm working now, like, it was only, like, a couple weeks into where I'm into training and everything, and, I mean, I've never seen these people before, I've never been in this kitchen before, just the past couple of weeks, and then I was like, I'm having deja vu.
Yeah.
But I've never been in this kitchen before, I've never seen you guys before, how am I having deja vu about this moment when I've never seen it before? Past lives.
I've been to, there was like, I think it was Salt Fork Lakes in Ohio. I went there, and I was out in the water, and I was looking into the woods, and I got this like really calm feeling, and I'm like, I've been here before. Like, like not on the water, but like in the woods. I strongly believe that I would been there before and stuff like that. I don't know, weirdest feeling I've ever gotten.
Well, I mean, if it was in like the woods or something, maybe it was just like a familiar feel, like if one of your past lives was like, say, Native American. They had forest and woodlands all over themselves. So maybe that was just what was familiar to you because of one of your past lives.
Probably, yeah.
Well, I mean, I think that just kind of contradicts what previously was just discussed, though.
Maybe.
Well, if there's no if the energy is non-sentient, then it's more akin to alchemy. It's more you're transferring one thing into another. It's not so much spiritual.
Not intentionally. Like, the energy just goes on. And if it can't find a new vessel, like, obviously, no, it's not sentient. But if there's another vessel that can absorb the energy, because it doesn't have energy of its own yet, like...
But would it then be a past life, though? Because then you're saying there's flashbacks, there's remnants of it, though. But if there's not a sentient vessel to remember it, though, and it's just energy. Because, you know, the universe is about rules.
But what exactly is energy, then, though?
Yeah.
Like, energy may not be sentient, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't, like... I don't want to say remember, but for lack of a better word, how do you say that energy doesn't remember what it used to do?
Or like it was imprinted on or something, and you just don't...
Well, but what I'm thinking, though, is that the universe is a series of rules and limitations and various kind of effects to it. You know, you drop a rock on Earth, it's gonna fall. You throw a rock in space, it's gonna go on forever and everything. These are established rules of the universe. The problem is that...
Rules are made to be broken.
Well, you can't break the rules of gravity.
No.
That's what I mean. But what I'm saying though is
I can't.
In an airplane, you can.
True.
That's
Well,
true.
you
I
can-
can't break
you
the rules of
you
gravity.
can alter the rules, I would say. You cannot break them.
Right.
It's not
But
black
who's
and
to
white.
say
it's
energy
gray.
can't break rules?
But then that goes back to the theory. Then the energy can't be destroyed.
It can't. That is scientifically speaking. Energy cannot be created or
But
destroyed.
that's what I'm saying, though. Energy does not have
What
a
if it can
sentient
merge?
idea,
No.
so you can't break that rule. You know. Well,
But who's to say it doesn't? Like, I'm not saying it's sentient, though. I'm saying that I don't know how to explain it. It may not be sentient, but like I said, it might not mean that something can't feel familiar to the energy.
yeah. But how does a soul? I mean, I guess it kind of goes back to the biggest problem with religion and biggest problem with the supernatural and paranormal, because we are mortal. We don't know.
Exactly.
The only way we will truly know is we have to die.
And once we die, we can't tell anybody.
But once we're dead, it's like, oh great. Well,
And if you're just reincarnated, you'd never know.
yeah,
Like,
that's what I mean. So the biggest problem is that we would have to somehow break the material plane and have our consciousness attached to it.
Well, I remember seeing this thing. If you Google your date and time you were born and write death date after it, you can find one of your past lives.
I don't know if I'd want to find that.
Mine was a song, or no, it was he was a writer and composer.
Hey, that makes sense though.
Yeah, kind of goes off of who I am kind of now. So
Mine was a hobo named Dave.
When I was a little kid, I used to tell my mom, this is actually creepy. When I was a little kid, I used to tell my mom that I was a mom that had a son named Logan, who was 13, and that I was stabbed to death. And, like, I would feel, like, pains like this. But little kid, like 5 years old, it would creep my mom out. She told me to stop talking about it. But I'd tell her that I got stabbed to death by my ex-husband, and that I drove this old car, and there was, like, I could, like, picture it in my mind. It was, like, out in a state where, like, Arizona or something like that, and I would tell her, like, my name and everything, and that I was stabbed to death by my ex-husband.
You're
It's
the
creepy.
reason why Logan Paul's alive.
No. I think this was, like, back in the 80s.
Probably.
Logan Paul's from Ohio. North Olmsted.
No!
Westlake, yeah.
Oh no!
Okay, good.
but yeah, I'm just gonna edit that whole piece out.
It's
But no, going off of like you talking about what you said when you were a kid and everything. And also that boy who believed that he died in a plane crash and everything. We were watching this video a couple days ago of this kid who was drawing a series of pictures in class about an entity named Lisa. And it was her.
That's just a creepypasta.
Is it?
Yeah, I've heard that before. I've heard of the story. I've never actually seen
But it's not the first. It's not the first time that that's happened. Kids draw pictures of things that they experience at home and school.
Yeah.
Ed
And
and Lorraine
sometimes-
Warren said that kids are more sensitive to the paranormal.
They are, and so are animals.
Well,
Cats and dogs.
Well, then if we go back to the
Can you let me finish?
I'm sorry.
edit that part out too.
But no, it's not the first time that that's happened. It's not so much just the paranormal, but like there's cases of kids drawing pictures of their abusive parents, or like maybe they're depressed or something like that. Like, and they pick up on that by looking at their pictures sometimes. And it's not the first time that a kid has drawn pictures about a paranormal experience that their parents just believe to be an imaginary friend.
Exactly.
That's probably why it's such in kids, it's hard to tell what's an imaginary friend. I had a ton of imaginary friends when I was a kid. Like, I didn't have very many friends of my own,
Wow.
so I just always kind of talked to my imaginary friends. And
She still does.
so when I'd hear like random sounds in the house and things like that, I would just blame them. It's like, oh, it's just this guy playing his game and trying to freak me out or something like that. It's like, yeah. But as I got older and the imaginary friends disappeared, what was making those noises?
The house naturally shifting.
when I was a little kid, though, like that, I didn't have imaginary friends, but I had 2 little girls that would stand over me and watch me play. And, like, once I got older, I didn't see them anymore. Yeah.
Did you move, or, like, was it still the same house when they disappeared?
It was when I lived in Hartville, but, like, they would walk, like, we lived in a ranch, and it was, like, one long hallway, and I'd be, like, I'd sit in my room with the, like, playing with the door open, and I'd look up, and there'd be, like, this girl who's, like, I was, like, 5, but she was, like, 12, and she'd be wearing, like, this really fancy, like, velvet dress, and she'd be, like, floating off the ground this much, and she'd just be staring at me, and I'd look up, and I'd look at her, like, it only happened twice, really, like, that I can firmly remember, but, like, the first time, she just turned and walked into my parents' room, and as soon as she, like, walked through their doorway, she just disappeared, but the second time, I was looking in the bathroom mirror, like, staring at myself, because I was a vain little kid, and,
You were a what?
Vain little kid.
What does that mean?
Like, I like to look at myself in the mirror.
Oh, okay.
So I was just sitting on the bathroom counter with my feet in the sink, and I was staring at myself, and she appeared over my shoulder in the mirror, and, like, I, like, saw it, and I, like, my mouth dropped open, and then I flipped off the back of the counter and hit my head on the floor really hard.
Ooh.
And, like, I remember, like, screaming, and I'm like, Mom, she's in your room, she's in your room, and she's, like, it freaked her out, and she, like, didn't believe me, but she's like, you should probably just stay by me the rest of the day. But, like, I remember just screaming, she's in your room.
Yeah, that's terrifying. You said there were 2 girls, or was it just, were you just
One was
meaning...
blonde and one had brown hair, but they were wearing, like, the same things. So, what if it was, like, a demon trying to, like, relate to me?
Trying to trick you, maybe?
Yeah.
Come my house,
I'm not sure. Well, because the thing is, like, depending on the lighting and, like, what's going on around you and everything, it can affect what you see of the spirit.
True.
Like, if it's warmer, sometimes they're, like, more faint, which means you won't see as much color on them. But if it's colder and darker, you're going to see more of them.
True.
Actually, question. Do you guys believe in rituals, then? Or no?
Like, what do you mean?
Like, do you think...
Do I believe that there is a ritual to open a gate to hell? Yes.
Ouija boards.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'll never touch a Ouija board.
My question is, speaking from a skeptic standpoint, if there is, how come no one's opened it and been like, hey, world, ta-da!
I don't think it's a visible portal. I think they can just come through. Like, we can't see them even if they come through.
So then how do we know that we actually opened a portal?
There are reports of people opening gates to hell. They're not physical gates. A door doesn't spawn and let the demons in.
Then how do we know it's actually open?
Because of what happens after. There are things like, there are shows like A Haunting, which, I mean, I believe these people when they go through things like this. Like this one story, these people moved into this old house, and they were redecorating a room for a baby. And they were peeling down the wallpaper to put up new wallpaper. And underneath the wallpaper, there was painting on the walls to perform a ritual.
I've seen this one too, yeah.
Apparently, like, the people before them, I can't remember if they died or if they just moved out because of something happening. And there were, like, apparently, like, 6 entities in that house because of that open gate.
Once you open the gate and, like, it's not closed, I feel like they can keep coming and going as they wish.
Right. And I don't know if it was 6 entities at once or if it was just, like, one entity was there and then they left and then another one came. I don't know. And then there was also, there are old Japanese forbidden rituals that were performed a long, long time ago. And Fatal Frame is actually based around some of them. I'm not sure if they're all true, but I know the strangling ritual was a real one.
What's the strangling ritual?
The strangling ritual was performed in really early Japan.
Feudal Japan.
Feudal Japan.
They would purify a woman, a young maiden. I think they took her when she was 7 and purified her until she was 12.
How do you purify someone?
She sits at the bottom of a well and absorbs the moonlight.
For years?
For years.
But what if there's no moon? She's just down there in the dark?
Yeah. But she was not allowed to interact with the outside world and all this. And I might be mixing up a couple of the rituals and everything. But, like, there was, like, serious folklore in the game that I read up on. And I've also read up on it on the internet and things like that. So when she was purified and she came of age, they took her to the hellish abyss. At least that's how it was in the game. Which I don't think that it was used actually like on a hellish abyss, but I think they just used it to appease the demons and everything to keep hell from seeping out. And they would tie ropes around her wrists, ankles, and around her neck, and they would it would either be they tied them to horses and had the horses run, or they had them wrapped around these cranks and just cranked them until they
She's pulled apart?
popped off. Yeah, she's pulled apart. And
So she had to sit in a well for 4 or 5 years and then get pulled apart by horses?
and then the ropes are used to tie off the gate.
That's horrible.
It was a forbidden ritual. That's why it doesn't get done anymore. But
In Greece, they used to sacrifice virgin girls, though, too.
exactly. So there are rituals of ways to close gates, to appease demons from coming through, and to open gates.
Well, my question is then, if the people aren't doing them now, then what's the...
Because they were left open.
Yeah.
And there are people who do them now. They're stupid, but they do it.
I mean,
Like, think
Sure, you
about
can
it.
advertise that.
Hey, kill this one person, you save the world. Just saying, you know.
Think
maybe
about
worth
it, though. You said earlier, isn't there like a ritual, like just a piece of paper and a glass of water?
No, like a shot glass turned over and a piece of paper. That's a Ouija board, and that can open a portal in your house.
Exactly. And I mean,
You just have to have the intent.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It can be just stupid kids thinking like, oh, this is just a joke, but I want to try it. Same thing with playing with Ouija boards. It's like, I want to try it once.
Not in my house.
No. No. It opens a gate. The thing about like Ouija boards, and like some of them open bigger gates and some of them open smaller gates. The smaller the gate, only one can usually pass through. But in like that one house that had the big painting on the wall, it probably opened a big enough gate to let multiple demons through.
And then they can follow you
So
anywhere
then
you
are
go.
we classifying demons then as spirits, or are we classifying them as something else?
Well, no. Demons
Not
are
an
demons.
earthly, like a human spirit. Right?
What's that?
Not a human spirit.
Yeah, not a human spirit. Demons are, like I said, spawns from hell.
So they're made in
They're
hell?
basically angels of hell, in my opinion. Like, I'm not sure why they're there. I've never really thought about it because I don't really care. But human spirits, like, I'm assuming that those 2 girls that were following you were probably just human spirits. Children who died at too young of an age and they didn't know where to go.
But what if they would, like, you know how Annabelle, like, I don't know if that's true or not, but, like, how Annabelle attached itself, like, it wasn't just a demon, but, like, it was going through the doll to, like,
That's a thing.
trick people. That's what makes me think, what if they were demons and they were, like, showing themselves as another little kid because they're like, oh, she won't be afraid of another little kid. Like,
Right. That could have been highly possible. There are a lot of reports of spirits from China being carried over into America because they were linked to like a vase that was in their home when they died and things like that. So when you buy that vase from an auction or something, bring it back home and set it on your mantle, that spirit's going to stick with it because it was something that was vital to them alive or whatever. There have been like that's a thing.
I keep watching your cat to see if it freaks out or anything. I'm like, is anything coming in here?
Well, you also have to remember that Cosmo gets random bursts of energy, so sometimes he just freaks out for no reason.
Particularly between the times of 4 and 7 a.m. So,
Yeah. Do you guys know about Poltergeist, though?
Mhm.
Not the movie Poltergeist.
Like, they can move stuff?
Yes. Poltergeists can be created, well, not created. What?
Do you think magic's real? Like, what's the deal?
I
on
believe
magic?
witches are real, but in Salem, I guarantee they did not kill a real witch. A real witch would have not been caught. They killed innocent people there.
Well, yeah. There are other things that happen in Salem too. If you look into it, it's not something. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like, rape. They're like, I
Yeah.
won't tell anyone you're a
Do
witch
I
if you
have
like, let me
any-
have sex with you.
Magic? It depends on what you call magic. Because what I was going to get at here was things like psychic abilities.
Yeah.
Do I have any proof that anybody doesn't have a psychic ability? Like, they can predict the weather.
Or see auras.
Or they can see auras. Or they can use telekinesis and move things with their head. I have no proof that doesn't exist. I actually have more proof that it does exist. Because what I was going to say is that there are times that people think that a poltergeist is in their house. But usually a poltergeist, you can see the entity. But with the same circumstances that a poltergeist creates, but it doesn't have an entity, it can be created by a person. Usually a young child, most of the time female, going through puberty, so everything in her head is all messed up.
And she can have a lot of energy and anger.
And she has energy that she can't control and an unknown psychic ability.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I think that was the case. Because I read up on it when I was like 14, I think. I was like in that adolescent time adolescent is like before 10 years old, isn't it?
Adolescent is before 12.
Okay, so I wasn't adolescent, but I was like I was going through my puberty phase and all that, so I was just like, my energies were all messed up.
Mm-hmm.
And I had read up on the poltergeist situation, and I read up on the real poltergeist and also the psychokinetic one. And I matched all the criteria. I was a young female who had a lot of stress and possibly an unknown psychokinetic ability, because I had everything from the rapping noises on the walls. I woke up and I had a medal hanging from a
How many rapping
trophy.
noises were there, though? Were they in threes? Because that's demonic.
No. I don't. There was a lot of them. There was rapping on the walls, just like tapping here and there, but that could have been just the house shifting.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time when I had a medal hanging from a trophy, and I woke up one night and it was swinging. And the thing is, it was hanging off of a trophy, so it would bump the trophy, but it just consecutively swaying back and forth. Like, it didn't touch the trophy still. It was like being lifted slightly and like carried like this.
That's terrifying. I have a rosary on my lamp next to my bed. If I woke up and that was swinging back and forth, I think I'd die of a heart attack. Like,
it was freaky, but I was so tired, I think I went right back to sleep. And then I was standing in my room. I had a yo-yo, and I was just standing in front of my TV, watching TV with the yo-yo. And if you guys, some of you guys might remember from my old videos, I had a palm tree in my room. It wasn't a real palm tree, it was just plastic. Mm-hmm. There was a point in time when I was standing there with the yo-yo, and all of a sudden, I hear, it sounded like a hand just pushed through the leaves of the palm tree. I was out of my room. I wasn't doing this. And then, the last, poltergeist criteria I'd seen was I was sitting in the basement, and we had a Mac computer that was really faulty. In general, it would barely even turn on right. It would take over an hour to turn on. And so we just left it on. And it would go to sleep, and the screen would just turn off, and we just left it. Mm-hmm. Well, one time, I was sitting in the basement. That side of the basement was dark. Where I was sitting was light. And out of the corner of my eye, I saw this flashing light. It was the screen turning on and off.
Something was, near it, messing with it.
Poltergeist will affect electronics by affecting the power, so powering it on, powering it off, powering it on, or draining batteries. I heard the rapping noises. Things moved. My mom said one day her door slammed shut and nobody else was home. But
you couldn't have done that even if you were because you weren't there.
If it was an unknown psychokinetic ability, then yes, I could have.
But you weren't there. You think you could have gotten it from not being home, slam the door?
If it was the most familiar place that I knew, yes. Because if I was just thinking if it just popped into my head like a door slamming or something, if I was thinking of something and I could have just slammed a door to show how angry I was, then boom, it could have happened.
It's true.
So that was probably the most supernatural / paranormal experience I've ever had. Oh, no.
What was it?
The most paranormal experience I've had was when I moved out for the 20 days. I moved out to this house with a few friends, and it didn't work out well. We all know that story, and I'm not going to get into it. One night, it was midnight, and I woke up in the middle of the night, sweating. So I went downstairs to get a glass of water because I was dying. Mm-hmm. And the stairs came down like 20 steps. Maybe not 20, I'm exaggerating. But it came down a big flight of steps, hit a landing, and then you turned left and you went down 3 more steps. Mm-hmm. Well, I came down and I stepped on the landing, and as I turned, I saw a light right around the corner. And it was in the shape of a figure of a young girl in a dress. She had like long dark hair, and her eyes were like hollow. Like, I remember really vividly she didn't have eyes.
So they're like eye sockets?
They weren't dark though. They kind of lit up more than the rest of her.
Okay.
She was there for a second, and I blinked and she was gone. So earlier, I don't know if it was that night, but I was talking to somebody I was living with that the house was haunted, because he said he's seen quite a few things. He said he saw eyes in the window, and he like thought it was just some glare, but then he saw them blink at him, and yeah, so I mean, it got me skeptical. It kept my mind open. Like, if I saw something, it's like, okay, I'm not too worried about it, because nothing ever hostile happened in the house as far as I was aware. But then there's the thing that the longer it lingers, the stronger it gets. But it takes years and years for...
I feel like you'd be more angry then, because you're like, no one's paying attention to me. So you're like building up anger and energy. Like, it would take years and years, but... Mm-hmm. Has there ever been anything that you have that look on your face, Bradley?
Well, I think the one thing that doesn't make sense about the paranormal, though, is just the lack of consistency in rules.
You're a rules kind of guy?
Well, like you said, though...
The universe is made of rules.
But like you said... We don't know unless we die.
Yeah.
We don't know the rules. Like, how do you know the rules don't change after we die?
Well, what I would think would make more sense, though, is just like, if there are demons everywhere, how come there's not such a large effect on the world?
Maybe that's why there's so many, like, mass shootings and stuff, though.
Well, but then again, how do we...
Just people.
How do you explain a demon to physics? You know?
You can't. That's why there's religious, there's scientific, and there's paranormal.
That's what I mean, though. The entity...
You can't cross them, though. That's the thing. Saying. You can't cross science with religion. You can't cross science with paranormal. You can't cross science with supernatural. You can't cross supernatural with religion.
That's what I mean, though. Is there such a inconsistency of rules and order?
You gotta give up on the rules. But rules are made to be broken, and for all you... Because you gotta think about it. The rules of the Bible don't apply to everybody.
But the fundamental principle does.
What's the... What? Okay, explain that to me. What's the fundamental principle of the Bible?
The fundamental principle of the Bible is to follow God.
Okay.
And don't be a terrible person.
That doesn't apply to me.
Yeah.
I'll go with me. I'll be back. Okay, have fun.
But that's the main thing I just find about the paranormal and everything. It makes more sense of an alternate reality or an alternate, a 4th dimension or a 12th dimension. An entity like the...
How do you know that's not where the... How do you know that the layer between this dimension and the dimension that spirits live in is thin? That's why we see it. How do you know that's not the case?
That would make more sense than just...
How do you know that's not the case then?
Well, I would say what makes more sense would be the actions of one reality or universe affecting the physical plane of our universe.
I don't know. I'm not trying to explain it. Because I don't care. I can't explain it. You can't explain it. I don't care who can explain it. I know it's out there because I've seen it. I've experienced it.
You've never experienced something, Bradley, where you're like made you stop and think? You're like, did that really happen, or like?
Well, I mean, you have to also understand the way I perceive religion and things around me is just, if I'm right, great, fantastic. If I'm wrong, well, who cares? I'm dead. So.
My mom is in kind of like that state of mind. Like, she loves watching, like, a haunting and, like, ghost hunters and things like that. Mm-hmm. But she says, like, since she's never experienced it, she doesn't believe it. It's like, but they're capturing physical evidence here. But it is easy to fake results on TV.
Yeah, it's going to say, it's reality TV. No one wants to watch,
But a haunting, A haunting is actually stories of people who move into houses that have these experiences. I like a haunting more than I like ghost hunters because ghost hunters can fake their results.
I don't like... Oh, I can't remember his name on Ghost Hunters. The main guy with the spiky hair. I don't like him.
Oh, I haven't watched Ghost Hunters in so long. I know they had, like, Ghost Hunters Academy and things like that where they were trying to hire new people and things like that. I don't know how much has changed.
No, that was
in it.
Paranormal Investigation. Wrong people.
Ooh, my mom really liked Paranormal Investigation.
I liked it. I just didn't like the main guy. Let me look him up. I think you'll recognize him. He's like a total douche. No,
Oh, I forgot to mention though, in the poltergeist situation that I was in, once I read up on the psychokinesis and everything that can cause the criteria of poltergeists, it all stopped. So once I read up on it and learned about it, I was mentally able to stop myself. That's why I really think that's what had happened.
Because real though, you could stop it. Like,
well,
if you knew what was going on, you could, no.
Once you become aware.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm like the young teenage girl. I can have an unknown psychokinetic ability. Knowing that this could be me, it just stopped.
Wouldn't that just increase the power, though?
It could have if I really learned how to control the psychokinesis, which I have tried.
And then how come we don't have people just lifting cars?
They have actually done science experiments where they hook wires to people's brains and stuff like that, and they make them really focus, and they can like move a needle up and down in a machine and stuff like that with like their brain waves going from this.
Because the electrical sensors in the brain, yeah.
But I mean,
so that makes sense. Like if you have a powerful enough brain, or you,
if I would have focused more and trained myself to use psychokinesis more, I could have enhanced it big time. I could have been all out Carrie for crying out loud.
You know, I wish I could see auras. That would make my life. If I could just like walk up to a person and be like, "You've killed someone before." Like, you
also,
see it.
like the whole aura thing. There are times when people say they can feel auras. Like when somebody's sad. How many times have you walked up to somebody and like it was just a casual conversation, everything was normal, but something just felt off?
Yeah, like you can pick up on their feelings, but they're not letting them out.
Exactly. It's like their aura communicating like their state of mind and everything.
I feel like you could argue that it was just body language.
Yeah,
though.
that's what I was like. That's thinking of.
But the thing is, like I said, everything's typical.
Yeah. I mean, again, it's just the lack of...
I think you just haven't experienced anything, so you keep a closed mind about it.
Would you go out searching for it?
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, not down for anything. You know,
So, like, you would go to, like, a abandoned, like, whatever and look for it, like, with no fear?
Well, as I was thinking about it, though, you know, your brain picks up on certain things and everything, you know. Your eyes are attached to your brain, your nose, you know, your sense of smell, hearing and everything. So what you saw at 4:30 in the morning and saw was a spirit could have just been some off lighting and your brain was trying to adjust to it, so it came up with something that was recognizable.
I don't know.
You know?
That could be it. Maybe they don't exist, and what people see are just what our brains are trying to comprehend.
That's what I mean, yeah.
But the thing is, people see them in the middle of the day when they're wide awake sometimes.
Yeah,
it's
only
less
time I've
likely.
ever, like, had real ghost experiences, except for one, was in the middle of the day. It's not like they were all, like...
But even then, say your brain wanders and... You know, you have to think about your subconscious.
Like I said, I'm not trying to... like I said, it can't be explained. Mm-hmm. I can't explain it as that is. But I'm just saying, like, that this could be. Like, these are all just theories.
Yeah.
I'm not saying this is right and this is wrong. These are all just theories because there's no way of knowing what's right and wrong.
How about we kill one of us, and then we'll just try to bring the other one person we kill back. You
who
know?
has the most psychic ability? That's who we kill. No, I'm joking.
I have actually thought that I've had a sixth sense in some way, shape, or form. Maybe even more than just one kind of sixth sense.
Girls are more prone to have it too, so that makes sense.
Yeah. Well, young women are more prone to having like the psychic abilities from what is it? Psychokinesis,
Psychotelepathy? No.
Oh, I don't remember. there's like, oh no, I'm thinking of the subcategory as a psychokinesis. There's kinetic, static, and oh man, I can't remember, but like static you can organic. If you have a psychokinetic organic ability, you can actually affect other people. Hypnosis.
Like their moods too? Like could you like...
I'm not sure if it affects the moods. I didn't read up very much on that. But like things like hypnosis is actually a psychokinetic ability in some shapes. Other times people just kind of trick your brain into believing you're actually hypnotized. I'm not sure how you tell the difference, but maybe some of these hypnotherapists. Hypnotists. Maybe some of these hypnotists actually use their psychic ability to do it. Then there's static that you can use on, stationary objects, like bending a spoon with your mind. And then there is kinetic that you can use on moving objects, like a car in motion, like stopping it or something like that.
If I saw someone bend a spoon with their mind, I'd be out of there. I'd be freaked out.
Neo did it in the Matrix. So.
There was, I don't remember his name, but I think there was some guy in China who was able to move a 30-pound metal block with his mind. He threw it into a wall.
Well, then how do we not have proof of that, though? Something of that signiught's, then we'd have to...
I think there were reports on it. I'll have to look it up.
Someone have to have visual evidence or people, around or something like that.
It could be in the 1800s, though.
Well, the thing is that sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
Think about it. How many times have you woke up and said, well, today's an off day, or I woke up on the wrong side of the bed? That's because your brain just isn't working right. There are times when your brain just doesn't wire right that morning. Or, you didn't sleep right and your brain isn't set right.
Well, then could you just chalk that up into chemical imbalances in your brain?
How do you know it's not chemical imbalance that causes a psychokinetic ability?
Well, then could we classify psychology as a psychokinetic ability?
Psychology, studying the brain?
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
Because if talking about psychokinetic abilities would then understanding the brain and how it works be a part of unlocking the ability of psychokinetic abilities.
It'd be part of unlocking it, but I don't think it would be considered a psychokinetic ability.
But it's understanding the brain. It's using your brain to manipulate people and the situation around you.
You don't have to understand the brain in order to use a psychokinetic ability. Like I said, I was able to do it, and I didn't even know I could.
But it's utilizing the brain in a sense of that format.
Imagine what you could do if you practiced that when you realized it, though.
Yeah.
Harry Houdini, though, the
magician?
guy, who could get himself out of everything. He was the king of illusions, and he swore to his mom on his deathbed. He's like, if I can come back, I will come back and show you there's another life, because he died before his mom. Not on his deathbed, he died in a trick, but he kept swearing to her he would come back and he would prove that there was another life. And he after he died, 6 months later, she started to swear that he was talking to her and that he was back and all this stuff. But
that could have been just the grieving process, though.
True, but it'd be weird though. The guy who was the king of illusions, he could trick everyone, and he firmly believed that. I don't know. You have yellow eyes, cat.
Yeah, like I said, I can't prove that wasn't Houdini. Mm-hmm. I can't prove that it was. I can't prove that I actually had psychokinetic ability, or if I was just making it up because I was an imaginative child. I cannot prove that people don't actually study witchcraft and can create actually healing elements out of natural, or healing potions or something like that out of natural elements and things like that. I cannot prove that they do or don't exist.
What are you guys' stance on witches, though? I said mine, but you guys didn't say what you guys thought.
I don't know what I think exactly a witch is. Because I do believe that like we were talking about energy. The earth has energy. Trees, plants, water has energy. It has a kinetic energy. If you can bring them together, they have to be able to do something. Because
it's it kind of goes back to what I was saying. You take water and you put it over a fire, you get steam. You can use that steam to turn a turbine. That turbine creates electricity. The electricity can power a house.
Right.
Wouldn't that be considered then
Witchcraft?
Yeah. That's what I mean.
At the time, it probably was.
But
Like when it first came out,
You're using natural elements to create something. I mean, the only thing that's considered not natural is man-made. So,
but no, what I was going to
like
say,
uranium is a natural element. Plutonium is man-made.
Isn't that like a nuclear bomb?
That's what I mean. Yeah, uranium is a naturally occurring thing, but plutonium is taking and transmuting it into something else. Well, it's not transmutation, but it I guess in this sense would be. So wouldn't natural science then be considered witchcraft or magic or the natural order of the universe?
in a way, I don't
can't
know.
disagree with them.
I can't either.
So what were you
School for
saying?
me.
Do you believe in witches or no?
If you, do I believe there are people who study witchcraft? Yes.
Yeah.
I believe there
yeah.
are people out there who study alchemy. I believe there are people out there who. What's that?
I don't know what alchemy is.
The scientific alchemy is studying rocks, but the magical format is transforming like lead to gold.
Like spells.
Yeah, you have to like set up like. Don't you have to draw symbols in order to use alchemy?
So say you have 10 ounces of lead and you want to turn it into gold. There is a scientific formula for breaking down the molecules and turning that lead into gold. Basically, it's basically saying I'm going to take this amount of stuff and transmute it into this, what I want. So that's kind of what it is. It's really cool,
Yeah.
actually.
Like, I mean, it's not that I don't believe that it's not that I don't believe it. I firmly believe there's probably somebody out there who messes with it. Because like I've said before,
That's fascinating.
it can't just be made up.
Yeah.
Somebody had to have experienced or tried it at one point and maybe even succeeded.
Or at least said they
Like Native Americans had like medicine women or medicine men and women.
Hey, I was going to say, it's 2018. Come on now. Sorry, medicine people. Come on now. Keeping it
Medicine
open.
people.
Keeping it open. Jeez.
Well, right. Like, how did they make medicine in the Native American times? They used the natural elements of, like, herbs and
They're
like,
alchemists.
they're witches. Witches would take natural elements and mix them into potions and things like that to cure disease or even kill. Because too much of something can kill.
Like
Too
arsenic.
much Tylenol will shut down your kidney.
Arsenic's just deadly in general. You don't need too much of that, so.
Right.
You can arsenic someone poison someone. A guy who I went to high school with, that's how his older brother died. His girlfriend poisoned him with arsenic in his sweet tea every day.
You hang out with scary people, just so you know.
They had a kid together. She wanted his life insurance. I didn't ever hang out with the older brother.
Okay.
That's nice.
So we are at an hour and 4 minutes at the moment.
There
We
we go.
gotta stop.
Is there anything that we want to top this off with other than more skepticism because you get rambly when it comes to that?
I'll just say final thoughts, that's all.
Final thought is what I've already said, that I cannot prove that it does exist. I can't prove that it does not exist. I believe that it's out there. Allie?
I don't know. I just firmly believe it's a thing. Like, there's never been a doubt in my mind in my entire life. Like, but even my entire family is skeptic. Not a single one believes. So, I don't know.
I'm the oddball too. Same thing.
Yeah.
Like, my stepdad believes it for the reason, like Bradley, like biblically speaking, they don't, like, ghosts don't exist or whatever, so. But my mom doesn't. My mom's gray area about it. So.
That's mine.
Well, I would say the one thing is that we use this to try to find a purpose of why we exist, and we try to explain it.
That's not why I use it.
Or to prove. Sometimes I use it to prove that there's something after this.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah,
But
that's fair.
we use it to try to explain why. Why does the sun come up? Some people it's because there's a god that rolls it across the sun, like in Egypt, or yeah, it's actually a beetle. or that, it's science and the earth moves through there. Or there's a creator that threw it all into existence and everything. I mean, I think that there is a certain set of rules to the universe. and that whoever or whatever put those rules in place, they're there for a reason, and we'll find out when we kick the bucket. So, stay tuned on that, guys.
Stay tuned.
Let me just say this, though, Bradley. You need to keep an open mind about it.
I do.
No, not so far of what you said. Just keep an open mind about it, because let me just say this. Like I said, I can't prove it's wrong or right, and neither can you.
The same point as you can't prove that there is a God, or can't prove that there isn't one.
Maybe by the end of this podcast series, we can change Bradley's mind a little bit. Maybe we'll take him to a place, and he'll see something.
There is a haunted prison
In Ohio.
Yeah,
I was there.
I always wanted to go there.
They have like all-nighters there too, and maybe all three of us should go to that. That'd be pretty cool.
Wield an axe and be like, I'm gonna cut somebody.
You definitely cannot have a weapon in the prison.
No.
But there's a lot of metal. Like when I was in there was like a wall of like all the cells, and it was so much metal, and then there was stone. So I guarantee energy could like get stuck in that stone and metal and stuff.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I kind of want to bring a guitar and be like, look, I'm metal. Yeah.
All right. So are we gonna call it here, guys?
Yep.
Thanks, guys, for listening. So we will hopefully have another one up soon.
Buy our merch!
Bye.
We don't have merch. I don't want to say that.